So apparently, I have ruined the Genshin community.
What?
Yeah, me. According to this hour-long call-out video, which, mind you, features my face and 𝗖𝗆𝗆𝗆's face plastered on a thumbnail like we're public enemy number 1. I am not just wrong, I am dangerous. I'm a manipulator. I am poisoning the community. I am single-handedly making people quit the game by sharing my opinions. Now, don't get me wrong, criticism is fine. If someone disagrees with my take, cool, it happens all the time. But what we're dealing with here isn't just a disagreement, it is misrepresentation. It is cherry-picked clips. It's straight-up misinformation presented as fact, framed around this cartoon villain version of me that doesn't actually exist. So today we're going to walk through this thing point by point. I will show you what was said, what was actually said, and why this entire video is just one long bad faith attempt to villainize people who criticizes Genshin. Let's get into it. So, Flip opens his video saying he wants to start a discussion about gacha tribalism, specifically from the POV of a long-time Hoyoverse player. Fair enough, he thinks the community is going downhill because creators are stoking toxicity, hyping up imaginary enemies, and turning viewers into rage bait machines just for clicks. He even flat out calls himself a Hoyoshill and says he is here to defend Hoyoverse. What a noble cause. He also talks about how we deserve better content in the gacha space. Less lying, more honesty, fewer dumb gacha wars, more peace and understanding. He claims that the space has always been toxic, but that Wuthering Waves and Natlan somehow crank things up to a whole new level.
Genshin has been around for the longest, in which it's had its fair share of extremely toxic discourse over its years, but ever since the release of Wuthering Waves, as well as Natlan, I feel like it's been taken to a whole other level.
Okay, so let me jump in. First of all, you might hear me jokingly call myself a cool robot. That is fine. At this point, it is basically a badge of honor with how often people throw it at me. But here is the key difference. You will never catch me lacking, proudly standing on a podium saying, I defend Kuro games. Hell no! I don't even stand my own government, let alone a game dev. What I do is correct misinformation. I set the record straight. I am not here running PR for Kuro, and I'm not gonna lie to protect them. That is corny as hell. Now about the whole, you guys are using your audience by keeping them angry thing,
and how a lot of creators in the space are using you and keeping you angry at nothing and nobodies, whilst they benefit from all the engagement and attention.
Do you realize that same logic applies to your video too? I could flip that on you and say, hey Flip, aren't you riling people up against creators? Aren't you saying we're lying to viewers and think that they're dumb just to farm outrage and build engagement? If I'm using my audience, then what do you call making a whole hour video ranting at a straw man of angry Kuro defenders? And look, let's not act like you're new to this. The top 8 most popular videos in your channel, half of them are you calling people out. In this video that I'm responding to, the top performer out of your last 10. You are eating good off the drama slop, just like the rest of us. Let's not pretend you're some moral high ground samurai slicing through the toxicity with truth and honor. You are in the pit with the rest of us. Now about the claim that Wuthering Waves and Natlan made things worse than before, that is just not true. What if the reason you're only feeling that because the dynamic has shifted? Genshin doesn't have the monopoly anymore. We have real competition now. Multiple games are on the table, and some of them are doing what Genshin refused to do for years. And that power shift, that sting that you're feeling, that is not new toxicity. That is just you realizing that Genshin isn't untouchable anymore. And for the record, Genshin discourse has always been hell. Remember the anniversary meltdowns?
Let's start with the most creative and wholesome approach to this, which was spamming the Discord with 𝗖cie stickers laying down, right? Prompting the moderators to enable slow mode. You can only post a message every 10 minutes because the spam was ridiculous. And the great thing about this is that they can't delete it because they made the sticker, right? Which is very creative.
Remember Zhongli pre-buff? Don't gaslight people into thinking Wuthering Waves is the reason the space is wild now. The space has always been wild. You just don't like the fact that Genshin is no longer the center of it. Now this is where Flip really starts throwing accusations. According to him, everything started with basic comparisons between Wuthering Waves and Genshin. You know, the normal stuff. Who does the exploration better? Who has the better combat? That kind of thing. But then apparently, me and 𝗖𝗆𝗆𝗆s came in and poisoned the well, championing hatred towards Hoyoverse as a way to protect Wuthering Waves from criticism. His words, not mine.
First, there was just comparisons from both sides of the games talking about which aspects of each they thought the games did better, but then there have been 2 creators in particular that have pretty much championed hatred towards towards Hoyoverse as a way to shield criticisms from Wuthering Waves, those creators being 𝗖𝗿𝗆𝗿𝗏 and 𝗖cie𝗽𝗆𝗆𝗏. The bulk of both of these creators' channels is just being overly critical of Hoyoverse games and its players, as a way to give criticism about the games they once loved.
And then he hits me with this laundry list of reasons why I apparently have no right to criticize Genshin, says I don't even play the game anymore, and uses the fact that I got my Genshin gameplay footage from other YouTubers as proof.
Now for 𝗖cie𝗽𝗆𝗆𝗏, my proof for him not really playing the game is going to come from the fact that all his gameplay is seemingly just stolen from other channels. Searching one of the UIDs in one of these videos leads me to this channel, where the creator isn't credited in the video.
Also brings up a stream title I did, hate watching the 5.6 livestream, and a clip of me reacting to the new artifact reroller, trying to paint the whole thing as me just foam at the mouth hating on the game to farm views and appeal to anti-Genshin viewers. First of all, the daily commission point, that is an L on my part. I came back for the Natlan stuff, I played for a bit, and I didn't even notice the 4.8 change. I said in my video, Hoyoverse is still making the traveler run around deliver food. It was because that was the daily commission that I was getting. It was immersion breaking, and it looks like my editor put an event graphic on screen. But what I really meant was the fetch quest daily missions. My bad. It wasn't me trying to lie. I genuinely didn't clock it. But I hope that doesn't mean you throw out everything else I said in that video, because I stand by the rest of the criticisms. Second, yeah, the gameplay footage wasn't mine. I have editors. I told them, use Genshin gameplay in the background, and they pulled footage from somewhere. I didn't really care where it came from. I didn't think twice about it. That is just B-roll. But the fact that you tracked down the UID to try and disprove me is a little bit weird. But hey, I respect the hustle. That is dedication. Now for this, they don't even play the game argument. I played Genshin for 4 years. Do you think I magically unlearned all my criticisms the moment I uninstalled it? The things that made me quit are still in the game today. You want me to name them? There is still no skip button. You still gotta go to Catherine to get your commission rewards. There is still no working artifact loadout system until now. And even now it is half-baked. Still no remote crafting. No resin overflow. The day-gated domains. Tell me, which one of those got fixed after I quit? It's none of them. Genshin is a 5-year-old game. It shouldn't still be taking steps in the right direction. At this point, it should be sprinting. But here you are, Flip, celebrating it for finally doing what Wuthering Waves did in under a year. Flip says that you can't criticize something you don't play. No, you can't criticize something you don't understand. I understand Genshin intimately, painfully, and that's why I can criticize it. That is why my takes come from a place of actual disappointment, not clout chasing. And as for your claim that I'm just trying to appeal to my confirmation bias, that Genshin does nothing right, the clip you pulled of me reacting to the artifact reroller, you took that way out of context. I actually think that the system is fantastic. You can prioritize 2 substats, getting 2 guaranteed rolls within those 2 substats. That is better than what most gacha games offer. But my reaction? That was because it rolled double flat defense.
Oh my god, it's like being able to resurrect an artifact.
Oh, you see that? You see that? You see that? Now shut the fuck up! It got prioritized, it still went to double defense. This game could fucking die! Fuck this game! Fuck this game! It got prioritized.
What?
This game could fucking die! Fuck this game!
What?
English, motherfucker! Do you speak it?
Yes.
Then you know what I'm saying.
Yes.
It still went to double defense.
What?
Say what again? Say what again? I dare you. I double dare you, motherfucker. Say
And let's be real, anyone who plays this game knows that pain. That is not hating, that is just being human. How else do you want me to react? Genuinely asking. It went double defense, like what do you want me to do? You say that I'm not going in with an open mind, that I'm just digging stuff to hate on, but you're doing the exact same thing to me. You looked at my stream titles, hate watching the Genshin livestream. Fair, the title sounds loaded, but what you didn't show your audience was the actual stream.
My God,
I'm gonna say it now.
Like you're in prison.
I'm going back to
Anyway,
Genshin
You also
5.8.
mentioned something about
I'm going back.
targeted artifact
I'm going back.
enhancement
I have watched every single Genshin live stream since 1.2. I always hope the new patch will impress me, and in that stream where I hate watched Genshin live stream 5.7, I said that I plan to play it. I was excited, I just didn't make a video about it. You judged the book by its cover. You took a clip out of context and let it fuel your narrative that I'm some bitter Wuthering Waves stan here to hate for content. But I have never once shielded Kuro games from criticism. I called them out when things sucked. I called them out when things needed change. And I have seen Saint do the same. Maybe you missed those videos, or maybe you just didn't care to include them. And I'm sure you did that for good reasons.
I mean, I'm building my PC. My PC's almost built, so then I'll be able to play WoWa so I can make fun of it.
Why do you play a game? Why are you going to go into the game with the attitude of, I'm going to make fun of it? Why not go in with like a better attitude? That's a bad attitude you have.
Because the WoWa community is annoying.
Did they bullied you? You're spite driven.
Me.
In Spider-Man 2, you're able to web sling and fly all over the place with web wings at lightning fast speeds, because the objectives in the Spider-Man open world are at different levels of verticality, and some of the activities like chasing cars involve you having to move at these speeds, so it makes sense why the traversal in this game is like this. But when you get to a game like Elden Ring, this is the most of your exploration experience. Look at this bullshit! Why is my Tarnished not able to fly and grapple up those buildings? Why don't I get power-ups that allow Torrents to jump indefinitely? From Software clearly doesn't respect you or your time as a player if they think you're going to be okay with this.
Either way, this narrative that we're just using Hoyoverse hate to deflect, that is not the full story, and you know it. So Flip keeps the energy going by saying the funniest thing about me and 𝗖𝗺𝗵𝗏 is that we are constantly getting things wrong, specifically because live streams don't show the full picture of an update, which is fair, if we didn't already know that. Then he pulls up an older video where 𝗖𝗺𝗵𝗏 reacted to my video, specifically the one where I called 5.4 a filler patch, and talked about how Genshin's filler patches have only gotten worse over time. He uses this video as some kind of masterclass in shallow criticism and says we misrepresent the community, like we are just cherry picking bad takes and ignoring the full spectrum of player sentiment.
𝗖𝗺𝗵𝗏 made a video reacting to 𝗖𝗆's video calling 5.4 a filler patch and explaining how Genshin is making them worse over time. So let's go ahead and use this video to show how shallow the criticisms given are, as well as how much these people love to misrepresent the community. Most story quests in Genshin are around 2 to 3 hours long or shorter, which seems to be about the same length as most companion quests in WoW. Quests released could have simply been put off because people are busy in real life.
His first piece of proof, a Reddit post I reference. He says that it had less than 1,000 upvotes in one of the biggest gaming subreddits, and then makes a snarky jab about how I probably cut that part out for totally good reasons.
First, it has less than 1,000 upvotes in one of the biggest gaming subreddits, which I'm sure 𝗖𝗆 cut out for totally good reasons.
Ah, shit! Here you go again.
Okay, so yes, I do have a good reason. I have editors. I don't personally crop out Reddit upvote counts like it's some kind of war crime, but even if I did include it, I wouldn't have cared, because guess what? A post having fewer upvotes doesn't make it invalid. Just like how your video having 30,000 plus views doesn't magically make your arguments airtight. Numbers is not the truth. But since you clearly love scoreboard watching, here is one for you. Muujin made a post that got over 700,000 views, 19,000 likes, and over 1,000 retweets. And guess what the comment section was flooded with? Some people begging for filler patches. Some even praised Genshin for having dry patches, because it lets them catch up and breathe. So is it valid now? Or are we only allowed to cite Reddit if the like count passes your personal approval rating? And then he tries to discredit the Reddit post again by saying it's a year old and literally titled unpopular opinion.
Second, it's from a year ago, which if this was the only example you could find, shows how this isn't a sentiment widely accepted in the community. And the title of the Reddit post is literally unpopular opinion because it goes against what a majority of the community thinks, because they were busy with real life stuff.
Flipperoonie, Mr. Former Minor, the filler patch debate has been going on since the first time it happened. You can go watch old Tectone videos from 1.x. The same exact conversation happens every time Genshin slows down. There is always a focal group saying, I need this break so everyone else should too. Just because the Reddit post is a year old doesn't mean the debate is. Some arguments are timeless, especially when the game is still dealing with the same problems. And then he hits me with, if you actually read the Reddit post, and then goes on to cite the Reddit post, which, bro, did you even watch my video? Because literally in the first minute, I showed that post and said exactly what it is. Players who hate filler patches, and players who are thankful for them. And you even played a part of it in your video, and then acted like I didn't say it. What are we doing here? He also jumps on 𝗖𝗺𝗵𝗏 for talking about long Genshin story quest, and says, actually, Wuthering Waves has similar story quest lengths, and like, okay, I never said it was a length problem. I like long story content. I do. What I don't like is the yap fest, with walls of dialogue that lead nowhere, boring NPC quest, and characters taking 5 minutes to say something that could have been said in a single text box, and then Paimon repeats all of it. I am not asking for short, I am asking for engaging.
Something's in my ass.
I don't think that's a hard concept to grasp. And then Flip defends the new Natlan designs and aesthetics by saying, actually, there are lore reasons, because ancient dragons were so close to the region and blah 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 blah. Sure, lore reasons. But here's the thing, just because there's a lore reason doesn't mean it is good writing. You are telling me we waited years for the war-focused nation of Natlan, only to get dinosaur Disneyland, latex bike suits, roller skating DJs. When we showed up to Natlan, we didn't find conflict, we found dance parties. You can slap whatever justification you want on it, but it still clashes wildly with everything this region was marketed to be. You can't sell a nation as the one defined by conflict and raw power, the nation of war, and then drop us into Mickey Mouse Clubhouse and go, wait, there is lore for it. That is not fixing the problem, that is just coping. It is a fact that a lot of people were disappointed by the Natlan reveal. It is not just Saint, it is not just me. Go scroll through social media, Reddit, even the YouTube comment sections of your own peers. There is genuine fatigue with the direction of this game, and pretending it doesn't exist just because you don't feel that way, that is not honesty, isn't it, Mr. Former Miner? So Flip plays this clip from my older video where I said, people say filler patches give us time to catch up. No, that is just coping. These updates aren't designed to respect your time, they're designed to waste it. And then he pauses and goes, how does any of this apply to the game? Well, Flip, if you actually watch my video instead of hunting for a soundbite, you would realize that clip comes from the first 3.5 minutes. The section before I even get into 5.4. That part is me talking about filler patches as a concept, not 5.4 directly.
Your intellect is as weak as your dollar. Failure is your destiny. You are made of stupid.
The video even has bookmarks. You had the tools to understand the context, you just didn't care.
You don't actually have to spend real money to obtain a C0 Varessa, Muulani, Kinich, or Shilonen. They're all strong characters in the meta as well, and you can just grind the primogems you need to obtain them, like you would with any other character in the game.
Todo despeinado porque no me dio tiempo nada ponerme las chanclas y el bañador. Voy a la playa, había subido la marea. ¿Y tú? ¡Asómate, mira dónde llega el agua! ¡Llegaba el agua hasta el restaurante! ¡Había subido la marea!
And then you hit me with, you can't assess a patch before it's out. Okay, it is true in theory, but let's not act like 5.4 was some mysterious, unrevealed gift box. Between the livestream, event previews, and how Genshin structures its roadmap, we already knew what kind of patch this was gonna be. And guess what? I was right. Even though you sing praises of how good 5.4 actually was, let's bring in the numbers you conveniently ignored. February 2025, Genshin 5.4 was released. In that same month, lowest peak viewer count in the game's entire history, minus 32% in average viewership. And those banners? Mizuki and 𝗖cie𝗽𝗆𝗆𝗵𝘁, lowest banner sales of all time, record-breaking lowest revenue of all time. So you say I poisoned the community's view of the patch, but it looks like I reflected what was already happening. You can blame me for doom posting, but what about the people who actually stopped playing? 5.4 was so great, you said, but did you just pretend Realm of Tempered Valor didn't exist? You know, the Did You Wish Were Mavika event. That thing was so overtuned, it needed a tutorial just to unlock the name card. And before you start talking about skill issues, what skill? The ability to farm enough cracked units and artifacts to meet stat checks? Why not give trial characters so it's actually skill-based and not a test of spending money, luck, or burnout grinding? And then Flip went on to say that 5.7 is one of the best patches Genshin has ever had, and tries to use that as proof that I am just performative and I'm not interested in positive updates because I didn't make a video on it. Well, where's your 5.7 video? Are you performing too? Your whole channel is performative because where is the glazing video? Me, I haven't covered 5.7 yet because of real life reasons. Unfortunately, I have a life and that brings a debuff in my career. But I am planning to play the patch first once it goes live before I actually judge the game. Because here's the reality. That same glaive you called out for judging patches before they drop was the glaive 𝗖cie𝗽𝗆𝗆𝗵𝘁 3 months ago. He learned, he waited, he adapted. Because yes, I used to scream and rant about this stuff, but these days, if you watch the recent videos, I only go full on crash out mode when it is actually warranted. I have matured. I have learned to be better, even if it's only a little bit. Can you say the same thing, Flip? I don't think so. You are still the same guy that called out Tectone 3 years ago and leaving out context that doesn't support your narrative. Now onto the fishing minigame in Wuwa. You said that I was defending it. Where? Literally where? I never said it needed defending. I just explained how it works. You are making up fake arguments just to discredit me. Also, this whole TCG thing, you are clowning Wuwa content creators saying we will praise their version of a TCG while hating on Genshin's TCG. Oh, it is the same event, but because it is on Wuwa, they get praise. But because it is in Genshin, they're gonna hate on it. Beep, 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 beep.
Good job.
Except you didn't even bother to check what Wuwa was actually adding. It is not a TCG. It is closer to teamfight tactics with card-based visuals. You keep calling my takes bad faith assumptions, but your entire video is full of half-context quotes, fake claims, and straight-up misinformation. You want to hold creators like me to a standard, it's okay, but at least follow your own rules. Rules for thee, but not for me. Spoken like a true Hoyoshill. So Flip's whole next argument is basically, these creators never liked Genshin to begin with, and even if the game improves, they will just say it is too late. They lie about caring, their negativity scares off potential returning players, and that creates a cycle of misinformation.
Can you imagine if someone fell off in Genshin towards like the end of Sumeru, and when they wanted to get back into Genshin they see a video like this? A video filled with so much doom posting and lies and misinformation. They would never want to touch the game because they don't think it's progressed ever, and then they can go on to parrot this information, fueled by any of the feelings they may have had when they left the game.
Quit that gay shit. Anyways, how to know if your sign company is reliable is to check their lead time.
Who the hell are you to decide who cares about a game? You think just because I criticize Genshin, I don't care about it? That is lazy. That is projection. And frankly, that is a reach so far. Your shoulders dislocated. I care about Genshin enough to keep making videos about it. I care enough to call out the problems when it's safer not to. I care enough to want it to improve, even when the developers clearly don't seem to be listening. And you're gonna go post again, saying I'm incentivized for money, for hating Genshin. Oh, it's the meta. I get more views talking about Wuwa. Why would I make Genshin videos if I don't care? Don't mistake criticism for hate, because if I didn't care, I would just leave. I would just make Wuwa videos. I would just go play literally anything else and never mention this game again. But that is not gonna happen because I care about the game. I am still here. And you want to talk about scaring people away from the game. Boo. Okay, what scared them more? Me saying that the patch is dry or the game being dry? Let's talk real world example, okay? There is a huge content creator, I'm not gonna say who, but if you know, you know, genuinely hyped up to play Genshin Impact. He gives Genshin a shot after playing Wuthering Waves, and he taps out in 3 hours. Straight up said Wuwa is better in every aspect. Are you gonna blame me for that too? So what is your story now, Flip? Are you gonna keep pointing fingers at content creators forever? Or are you ever gonna turn that energy towards the actual devs? Have I seen a video about you criticizing Genshin Impact devs? No, I don't think so. I see. Okay. I'm gonna remind you, Genshin is a multi-billion-dollar franchise. They have the money, the team, the data, and yet basic player requests, stuff that we have been shouting about since Mondstadt, still gets ignored. I have made a whole video titled, After 5 years, Genshin players are still begging for these fixes. I hope you give this video a watch and tell me, Flip, which one of those fixes actually happened. Spoiler alert, none of them. You think I'm stopping people from returning? No, man. The game itself is. But I'm the villain because I said it out loud? Nah. I am done playing scapegoat for a company that rakes in record-breaking revenue and gives crumbs back. If that makes me negative, fine. At least I am honest. If you want Genshin to grow, you should start holding the people who can actually make that happen accountable. Finally, you call me out for calling 𝗖cie𝗽𝗆𝗵𝗵, out of all people, a Hoyoshill, when in your opinion, he is not. And for everyone still watching this far, you already know the pattern by now. No context, there's no nuance. Just look at the thumbnail, look at the title, ignore the actual points made, and then fire off a 1-hour call out video like it's a court case. But let's talk about that 𝗖cie𝗽𝗆𝗵𝗵 video. What did he actually say? His entire take was basically, they copied the things I hate about Genshin, so I'm not playing Wuthering Waves while still playing Genshin. How does that make any sense, Flip? That is the exact definition of what I meant by Hoyoshill behavior. He might not be a Hoyoshill to you, but in that video, he definitely acted like a Hoyoshill. Now don't get it twisted. I'm not saying 𝗖cie𝗽𝗆𝗵𝗵 is the biggest Genshin bootlicker alive. It's not even close. Because honestly, Flip, I think you might hold that title. 𝗖cie𝗽𝗆𝗵𝗵 just gave an L take, and that kinda pissed me off, and I move on. But you, on the other hand, made a full-length expose trying to frame criticism as evil. You blame people like me for Genshin's bad reception. Like this game isn't run by one of the most resource studios in the industry. You spent more time dissecting my tone than the actual issues that I brought up. That is not defending the game anymore. That is defending a brand. And that is where the real problem lies. So Flip, you made an hour-long video video to call me a liar, a villain, a manipulator, poisoning the community with doom posting. And for what? Because I criticized a dry patch? Because I pointed out systems that have been broken for years? Because I dared to compare two games? Oh. And in doing that, you lied. You took clips out of context. You ignored entire sections of my video, chapters clearly labeled, by the way, and built this Frankenstein version of me that only exists in your head. You accused me of harming the community, but you are the one creating a culture where criticism equals treason, where calling out $1 billion company is seen as more dangerous than the company never listening in the first place. You say I deter people from playing Genshin, but if one video is enough to make someone quit, maybe the game had a retention problem before I showed up. You call me performative while sitting on a throne of bad faith arguments, misquotes, and reaction bait, pretending you are defending the game when really you are just defending your feelings. And the irony, you accuse me of not playing the game. You never gave me credit where it's due, and not talking about improvements. But when it comes to my actual recent content, the stuff where I do praise Hoyoverse for good changes, where I do reflect, where I do evolve, you completely ignore all of it because you were never interested in the truth. You just wanted a villain. And here I am, 𝗖cie𝗆𝗆𝗵𝗁. I am convenient. But here is the difference between you and me. I don't need to twist your words to prove a point. I let the data speak. And most importantly, I let people decide for themselves. No echo chambers, no cult-like purity test for liking a game, just honest critique, good or bad. So Flip, if you're done turning people into scapegoats to avoid looking at the real problem, maybe we can finally have a real conversation about Genshin's future. Although after this bad faith video, I don't think I ever want to talk to you anymore. But anyways, that is all from me, 𝗖𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆